All right. Let's see. All right, cool. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Will Johnson. UniteAmericaFirst.com is my website. Thank you so much for tuning in for the information that I have to share with you. If you would, please do me a favor, like, follow, subscribe. Please share this video. No matter how you're watching this, please share this video. I have information that some of you probably already know this information, but I'm going to share some stuff with you that you probably don't know. That's what it's all about. We should be able to share information with one another without thinking, oh my goodness, I'm sharing something with you that's truthful, and it should be okay, right? At least that's the way the world should be. At least the United States of America. At least that's the way it should be here in America. But things have dramatically changed. The interesting thing about all of this is that now people are actually starting to see it. I remember a couple years ago when I would, talk about how they were blocking so many people, I could see it firsthand for myself, right? And I would talk about it and I would complain about it. And I remember in 2017 where I was seeing the censorship taking place then. And I was like, man, this is ridiculous. And I'm thinking to myself, can Congress not do something about this? The problem was they weren't aware. Of course, there was a few of them that knew about it, but they didn't understand how deep it actually went. And many people, such as myself, were screaming about it to the top of our lungs. We were constantly talking about it, talking about the censorship, talking about the banning, talking about, people posting truthful stuff and they're getting removed from social media. People would take scripture from the Bible and they were suspending their accounts. This has been going on. It's nothing new. It's just now a lot of the politicians are starting to figure it out. Because now they okay, well, I guess now we have to believe this because of who's involved. The federal government is involved. Now it's becoming a problem. See, a lot of people, the politicians, they kind of look the other way because, they were going along with this whole thing, talking about these are private companies and they should be able to do what they want to do because they're private companies. For the most part, yeah. But when it comes to the virtual public square, that's a different thing. It's completely different. And especially here in this case where you have the federal government actually stepping in and blocking people from saying stuff, blocking people from sharing stuff, just like my videos. Just like right now, I'm on Facebook, right? And Facebook, I've seen the level of censorship and, blocking stuff on Facebook before. I've seen it, but nothing compared to what it is right now. And I'm just kind of curious, is it happening because of all the information that is coming out from Twitter? I mean, Mark Zuckerberg already said it, so it should be okay for us to talk about this topic, right? Mark Zuckerberg's the one who said it. I didn't say it. Will Johnson didn't say it. Mark Zuckerberg said it. So the head man at Facebook said it, so wouldn't you think it's okay? I mean, he's the one who said it. We're not even making it up. I played the video. Many people played the video, and I'm talking about the video where he was on with Joe Rogan. He said it multiple times, just like another example, just like the Hunter Biden laptop. So all of this I don't think it started with the Hunter Biden laptop, but I think the Hunter Biden laptop was the whole thing that kind of really started exposing a lot of it because they actually had a factual story about the Hunter Biden laptop and the big tech suppressed it because the federal government reached out to them, or the Biden crime family reached out to them along with the Democrat Party, reached out to them and asked them to censor the Hunter Biden laptop story, saying that it was Russian propaganda. When come to find out, now you even have liberal media outlets saying the exact same thing. Liberal, let me say it again. Liberal media outlets. Liberal media outlets now are saying that the Hunter Biden story is factual. So that makes it safe to talk about because the liberal media, they're talking about it too. But they mentioned it. And then what's really interesting is that the liberal media outlets, they only talk about, Hunter Biden purchased a gun purchase a gun when he shouldn't have. And they don't mind talking about that because they want to get rid of guns from everybody in the first place. They don't want you to be able to defend yourself. And then on the same thing, they talk about his drug addiction. Like, that's the only information the liberal media wants to talk about when it comes to the Hunter Biden laptop. They don't want to talk about all this other information that came out about the Hunter Biden laptop. You know, his pictures with little children, not appropriate at all. Yes, there's pictures out there. I'm not going to ever share them. People, you scroll through Twitter and boom, it'll pop up. Boom, it'll pop up. Videos and pictures of Hunter Biden. It's pretty disgusting. It really is. But the interesting thing is that, you know, every last one of the left, they were all saying that it was Russian propaganda, which brings me to Karine Jean-Pierre. Karine Jean-Pierre is asked a question by the press corps. And again, the press corps finally doing their jobs, right? The press corps finally doing their job. And the press corps asked a question about the Hunter Biden laptop. Did the Biden crime campaign actually reach out to Twitter and other, platforms and have them suppress the information? All she had to do was say no. That's all she had to do is say no. But she's not going to say that. She's going to deflect and try to act like, well, this is political. No, it's not political. It's a crime that's taking place. Listen.
I'm wondering if there was that communication there surrounding the Hunter Biden laptop story.
So I can't speak to decisions made by the campaign from here. That is not. It is a political campaign, so I can't speak from here. I'm covered by the Hatch Act, and so I'm just not going to comment on the question that you're asking me.
See, that's her way of getting around not having to answer any questions. That's, the Hatch Act. Or she'll come back and say that, well, I don't have anything for you on that. But in this case, they just go to the Hatch Act. And they probably told her, just say, you know what, just say the Hatch Act. Just say that. Just constantly say that. So then that way they'll leave you alone. And then they say, okay, well, it is political. But isn't her job a political position? Someone help me out. She's the press secretary for the person in the White House. So someone please help me out. Is her job not political? All she does is talk about politics. That's all she's doing is talking about politics. Now, she doesn't have any issues talking about woke issues, right? She can talk about woke issues all day. She can talk about how conservative Christians shouldn't be allowed to say certain things because it's considered, speech that they don't like. So you can talk about woke stuff all day long. Now, again, you have politicians. Some of these politicians have talked about how the big tech companies have been doing them. And there is even people running for political office that this was happening to. And they were screaming about it. Y'all remember Tulsi Gabbard? Y'all remember? Well, if you don't, I do. Tulsi Gabbard, she was running for president. In 2019, they were going through the general election or through the primary. Sorry, they were going through the primaries. And I remember Tulsi Gabbard, she was on stage and she was saying stuff that was making sense. She was still leaning left on some of the things, but she was making sense. And she actually said that the Democrat Party is no longer the party for the people. She said that on the debate stage. And after that, Google would not allow her to run any ads. Google suspended her campaign. And she actually did a lawsuit. Now, I don't know. I'm guessing that she won the lawsuit because I don't ever recall anything coming out, about that. But it was too late. They had already did the damage to her. So she couldn't, talk to or reach her any more people. They purposely did her that way. And they kind of turned her into a Republican, which she is today. See, people like Tulsi Gabbard that, have sense about themselves, they have to be presented with the truth when it hits them. Because other than that, if it doesn't hit them, they never see it. They never see it. If they're not on the receiving end of the liberal mob, they never see it. They never see it. But anyways, listen to Ted Cruz while he's talking to Jesse Waters about Twitter and all the information with the FBI. Now, we should be able to freely talk about this stuff without being penalized, but look what they're doing on Facebook right now. If you're on my Facebook page, look what they're doing. And how many of y'all got a notification on Facebook? I'm just kind of curious. You know what? You get notifications on Rumble. I'm just saying.
We had a majority. We should be holding hearings and issuing subpoenas because the Democrats have majorities in the Senate. They don't want to issue subpoenas. They don't want to have any oversight. But the good news is Republicans won the House of Representatives on Election Day, which means in the House, and I'm working closely with the Republicans in the House, we need to have real and serious oversight examining this. We need to haul these people before Congress to testify under oath. And anyone who committed a crime should be prosecuted. You know, I do a podcast 3 days a week called Verdict with Ted Cruz. Today's podcast, I walk through these Elon Musk's, all of the inside documents from Twitter, one after the other. And one of the things that's interesting, the fellow you just showed a minute ago, who was the head of safety, supposedly at Twitter.
He's talking about, what's his name, James Baker. If I'm not mistaken, James Baker. And that's a really interesting story. For those of you that haven't heard that, I'm going to get into that. The way I see it, the top law in the country, if not the world, actually committed some crimes and got caught committing crimes. They committed crimes against the American people and got caught.
Signed an affidavit that was submitted to the Federal Election Commission in which he flat out lied, in which he flat out said, nope, we weren't communicating with the Democrats. We weren't communicating with Biden. We did this on our own because we thought it was hacked. Well, he was convinced that the actual evidence would never become public. He didn't count on Elon Musk buying Twitter and making it public. And I got to tell you, that fellow and everyone who lied under oath, they better be retaining lawyers because they're facing real civil and real criminal jeopardy right now.
So if you
hear that, he's telling them that they need to start looking to getting lawyers, right? Because in the House, they're going to bring up some of these investigations. Rightfully so. And they should be. They should be. I mean, you know what? We don't know how deep this goes. You know, I've seen these memes out there, and they show the meme where they show the iceberg, and you only see like this much of the iceberg, like just that much, just a little bit. And then the rest of the iceberg that you don't see is like so wide and so long and so deep. You can't see the bottom of it. You can't see the size of it because it's so big. But they show the corruption that's floating at the top this much. And they said, this is what everybody's looking at, but you have no idea. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. You've seen the memes. You've seen them. They've been making them for years. But all this information coming out, and I'm telling you, it's like they're doubling down on the censorship. They can care less that they've been exposed. They don't care. See, they've gotten to the point where that's like, well, we're too big to be, for them to do anything to us. And you know what's really interesting is that you have, how do I always say it? Demons. You have demons will protect demons. I'm willing to bet that these people that committed all of these monstrosities against the American people, they're sitting back and saying, well, I don't care because I know that the Democrats are going to protect us because they're the ones who asked us to do it. The federal government did this. The federal government. And really, if you think about it, shame on the big tech companies for going along with it because, they had to know that it was wrong. They had to know. They had to know what they were doing. They had to know. I refuse to believe that they did not know because if the roles were reversed and somebody was doing it to them, they would be highly upset. You can't sit there and tell me that these people that know how to program all day did not have a clue that what they were doing was wrong. They knew what they were doing. But you know what's really interesting is that I played a clip where Elon Musk, I didn't play it on social media, but Elon Musk was asked a question by Judicial Watch. And he asked the question, are you suicidal? He asked Elon Musk, is he suicidal? Because, there's been alleged rumors that, those on the left, if they don't like you, they disappear you, right? Allegedly, right? Allegedly, right? Y'all heard about the whole Hillary Clinton, the Clintons ordeal, the deaths that follow behind them. I'm just saying, I don't know. I wasn't there, but allegedly it happens a lot. And you know what's really interesting is Shuck It, Duck It Schumer. Now, he's upset. The Democrats are all upset because Elon Musk is releasing these documents. So what do you think Chuck Schumer has to say about it? What do you think he has to say about it? Now, listen to what he says and listen carefully. Because just imagine, just bear with me here. Listen to what he says and just think if it was a Republican senator that says the exact same thing that Chuck Schumer is about to say. I want y'all to think about it. Now, I know you can't stand to listening to him, but listen to what he says. And if it was a Republican that said that, what do you think would happen? Listen to this.
On the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
Does this not sound like a threat? He's literally saying that they're going to come for you. That's all the clip is.
On the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
And you know what? It really doesn't matter who he's talking about because, see, you know, the fake fact checkers, what they'll come in and say is missing content. He's not talking about Elon Musk. He could have been talking about President Trump. The point is, did it not sound like a threat? Regardless of what American citizen he is talking about, you have an actual Congress member saying that there's going to be retaliation against anybody who goes up against the establishment. That's exactly what he's saying. Who goes up against the deep state. That's exactly what he said. Am I wrong? Did y'all hear it? That's what I heard. Now, I played a clip last night with Senator Hawley, and of course, you know, they don't like it. I mean, this is something, hey, y'all need to go talk to Mark Zuckerberg. He's the one let the cat out the bag about all of this. But they've actually colluded with the federal government. The big tech companies did. And, you know, they didn't have any problems with it. And they're still doing it today, even though we all know, even though that some people are doing it. And, you know, the biggest thing about all of this for me is that you have people on the left that call themselves libertarians, right? Libertarians, liberals. They call themselves liberals because they're for liberty. That's their excuse for calling themselves liberals, because they're for liberty. None of them are talking about this is a problem either. None of them have an issue with them censoring conservative Christians, mainly because they're all okay with communism. Listen to Congressman Howey talking to Tucker here.
They're doing it by coercing private companies to do it. And you're exactly right, Tucker. And by the way, the Supreme Court has been clear on this. The Supreme Court has said the U.S. government cannot go to private actors and coerce them to do things that the government...
Y'all hear that? The government cannot go to private actors and coerce them to violate the U.S. Constitution. They can't do it. And that's exactly what they did.
Court has said the U.S. government cannot go to private actors and coerce them to do things that the government couldn't do on its own under the Constitution. But Tucker, that is exactly what the Biden administration has been doing. They've been pressuring private companies and really colluding with them to censor domestic speech, to censor American citizens' political speech on everything from COVID to mask mandates to CRT to the war in Ukraine, all of it. Biden has been trying to control through the government.
All of it. All of it. And, you know, he says Biden, but Biden's too dumb to do anything. Biden doesn't even know where the restroom is at the time. And he can't even, you know, hold a press conference without he has his Q&A card to call on somebody that has the answers, you know, the answers on the card for him. So, but he's saying Biden because he's talking about the Biden regime. Talking about the Biden regime. Why in the world would anybody go along with this unless they truly hate America, unless they truly embrace communism? And you know what's really interesting to me is that there's a lot of people that are Democrats. And I know people, I have family members that are Democrats. And some of my family members won't even talk to me any longer. Some of my family members, despise me because my views on America, my belief in God. I have family members that despise me, and there's people on Twitter. Like I'm live on Twitter right now. And there's a couple demonic people on Twitter that, you know, just blatantly, you know, when talk about evilness, and they blatantly blasphemy. They're blatantly cursing at God. They say stuff about the Bible. I mean, it's pretty horrible. It's pretty horrible. But you know what? Even though I don't like it, it's still considered free speech. But it's horrible what they're saying. And it's really hateful. But you know what? It's still considered free speech. See, that's who I am. And then I actually ask, and every time I'm on Twitter and I'm talking to these tyrants, right, and these childish tyrants, and I talk to them, I say, well, won't you join me in a video, Twitter video here? We can just do Twitter. We don't have to do it all over just Twitter. Because you're behind the keyboard on Twitter. Why not get behind the camera on Twitter? They never do. They never do. It's like, why not? You have all this information to share about how I'm wrong, and they send all this stuff, but they don't ever want to come on video and talk about it. I'm like, what are you scared of? What you scared of? But anyways, so this guy, Jim Baker, what I was telling y'all just a minute ago, and this is huge, I tell you, huge. This guy, Jim Baker, was a retired or a former FBI agent. Imagine that. He's a former FBI agent, and he was working at Twitter. Even when after Elon Musk had fired all of these tyrants at Twitter, this dude was still at Twitter, a former FBI agent. And the way I understand it, that Elon Musk had all of these, he still have all these documents, and he's sharing these documents with a couple people there, so then they can go through the documents and share, information out on Twitter. Well, Jim Baker, being an ex-FBI agent, he had access to these documents. So guess what he was doing? He was going through the documents, and he was censoring the documents from going onto Twitter when Elon Musk said put him on Twitter. And I think what really sparked it, because Elon Musk caught it like this, right? And this is how I'm expecting how it happened. Because you saw a lot of people in the media, especially on Fox News and some other conservative media outlets, they were saying, well, where are the documents? They were saying we were hoping that Elon Musk would release some of the documents that referred to the FBI, their communications with Twitter about the fraudulent stuff that they were doing. And it wasn't showing up on Twitter. Because a lot of people on Twitter are talking about, there's a nothing burger, there's nothing here, because they had an inside man censoring it. This guy, Jim Baker, was censoring the information that was coming to his desk so it would not go out on Twitter. So the censorship was still taking place. So he was hiding fraudulent activity that he was doing, along with any fraudulent activity the FBI had been doing when it comes to the Hunter Biden laptop, and probably much more stuff that we don't even know yet. And that's why the level of censorship, I think, has increased even more, because it's probably going to come out. I mean, Elon Musk has the goods. I put a meme on Twitter, and I put it on other places too, and I said, here, let me just read it to you so I can read it verbatim here, so I can make sure I get it exactly how it was, because I put this meme on Twitter. It's pretty funny. I said the missing files the FBI was looking for at Mar-a-Lago. Y'all remember that? The FBI went to Mar-a-Lago. They raided Mar-a-Lago looking for these files, right? They were looking for files. They didn't know what they were looking for. They was looking for some. I think they knew what they were looking for. And I said the files that they were looking for was at Twitter the entire time. And it was just a meme. It's just a laughing meme, funny, not funny, right? Because it's like, hey, all these documents coming out. And again, you have an inside man for the FBI censoring, still doing the censoring. Listen to this. This is the guy, Jim Baker, I'm talking about. They're talking about on Fox News.
Elon Musk firing top Twitter attorney James Baker, who used to work for the FBI, for allegedly playing a key role in the censorship scandal.
Well, the reporter who released the Twitter documents revealing that Baker vetted the files behind Elon Musk's back. Our next guest warns government's ties to big tech threaten democracy as we know it. Mr. Tucker Carlson is here with the latest. Hey, Tucker.
Oh, good morning.
What do you think about this whole thing? Because more and more of the onion is being peeled back.
Well, this is the core of the onion. This story is not about some private company deciding what language is safe or permitted and what's not. It's not content moderation. It's censorship being overseen by the U.S. government, which is a crime. It's a violation of the First Amendment. It's the core freedom that we have, the freedom to say what we think is true. That's why this country is different from every other country. It's not our economy. You know, that is American exceptionalism, is the First Amendment, period.
Yeah. The First Amendment. And again, you know, I remember when I was growing up, and for those of you that don't know, my father was in the military, so I had the opportunity of living overseas in Germany. 3 different times. My mother loved Germany so much, she had my dad, you know, she twisted his arm pretty much, for him to do 3 different tours in Germany. So I lived in Germany a total of 10 years. Total of 10 years I lived in Germany. And I remember the last time I was living in Germany, I was a teenager, and the people there used to marvel how America has so many freedoms. To the point they said, you Americans, you're so spoiled because you have all your freedoms, you're so spoiled. And I'm like, it dawned on me later on in life, that's true. Well, we used to have all these freedoms. They're gradually taking them away. And you ever hear that expression, the frogs in the pot, right? On a slow boil? That's been America for the last 10 years, probably a little bit longer than that. The last 16 years since Obama, especially if you ask me, the absolute corruption that we're seeing started under Obama. It actually did, because remember, under Obama, that's when they were spying on President Trump.
Russia.
Yeah, I remember. But they used to marvel after America because of all our freedoms. And it's because of the First Amendment. And we have the First Amendment. And we would like to keep it. No one's calling for violence. Just First Amendment, to say something you don't like.
That is American exceptionalism, is the First Amendment, period. That's the foundation of all freedom. And so if you find yourself in a place where the government is censoring political speech, if the ruling party is preventing criticism of itself, which is exactly what's happening, then, you know, you're in a crisis. And we are. And so this Jim Baker was, of course, general counsel over at FBI at the very center of the Russiagate hoax and disaster and attack on human rights. It's the guy who tried to put Mike Flynn in jail for knowing too much. That's not an overstatement. He somehow winds up general counsel at Twitter, and now we find he wasn't vetting the files, he was censoring the files, of course, to take out incriminating information about himself and the FBI. So this story is about the FBI. It's not about Twitter. And it's also about Facebook, because we know that the FBI went to Facebook because Mark Zuckerberg told us that in a Joe Rogan interview and said, whoa, be careful of this Hunter Biden laptop. It's Russian. Well, of course, they knew it wasn't because they'd had possession of it since 2019. This is not a complicated story. It's a very simple story. The FBI weighed in the last presidential election on behalf of Joe Biden.
On behalf of the Biden crime family, the Biden crime syndicate, right? The Biden crime campaign, right? BC, Biden crime. They were working for him, and it would appear to be that they're still doing it today. They're not even hiding the fact that's what they're doing. They're still working with the Democrats on coming after Americans. And this should be like, this should be like the confirmation and like basically clear it all up about how the Democrats use the FBI to target parents as domestic terrorists. This was the FBI too, targeting parents as domestic terrorists. They didn't target the FBI. I've yet to ever hear the FBI doing investigations about Antifa. Hey, y'all ever see that? What about the FBI doing investigations about BLM? And BLM is being caught doing fraudulent activity. Is the FBI involved in that? The organization itself, BLM, is a criminal organization. It is. Is the FBI doing an investigation on it? What about all the money that they funneled into BLM? Is it possible that the Democrat Party funneled money into BLM the same way they funneled money, allegedly, into FTX? We know that they funnel money into Planned Parenthood or Klan Parenthood. We know that they do that. The Democrat Party was funneling money into law firms that Hunter Biden was associated with, not working with. He's just associated with them, didn't show up to any meetings or anything, getting paid over $200,000 a year. They funneled money to them, $10 million. And then they turned around and gave $1 million to the Democrat Party. They do a lot of money funneling. That's the reason why a lot of people think that's why they have these 87,000 armed IRS agents to come after us, because money disappeared with FTX, no problem. Money disappear from billions of dollars disappear with FTX, no problem. Trillions of dollars disappear with the Pentagon, no problem. You have a $600 transaction, the IRS come after you with the gun in hand saying, show us where the money is. Do you see that? Listen to this other section with Tucker talking about this issue. This is what
Elon Musk tweeted out. When a question was asked after he fired James Baker, he asked to explain himself to Elon Musk was asked, and Elon Musk said yes. His explanation was unconvincing. No joke. This guy's part of the Mueller report, the Durham investigation, on everything. How he's able to keep his job. This is my worry, Tucker. I'm not cyber savvy enough to know. Did he do something already to get rid of some files that didn't exist? Did he actually find a way to bury something that it was worth this humiliation of getting fired for the world to see again? That's my worry.
I mean, it probably, in retrospect, it probably would have been wiser for Musk to just hand the entire corpus of the files over to WikiLeaks and post them on the internet, and the rest of us could assess them for ourselves.
You know what? I think I understand what Tucker is saying, but the only issue that I have with them just releasing all of the documents to WikiLeaks is that they dump all the documents at once. And what will happen is that, it becomes a story for a couple of days and then it just disappears. In this case, Elon Musk is smart about it. And maybe Tucker just hadn't thought about it, but Elon Musk is releasing these documents on Twitter, which in return is driving traffic to Twitter. Think about it, because the left, the Democrats, all of them have been going after the advertisers on Twitter, trying to get all of them to get off of Twitter. So Elon Musk is saying, okay, well, here's these documents. You're gonna take away my advertisements. I can put these documents on there, and guess what? People will come to Twitter to see the documents. People going on Twitter to view these documents that he is releasing. And now that he has found the mole in Twitter that was connected with the FBI, you can only imagine the documents that are going to come out in the near future. There's probably going to be some extremely explosive stuff that's going to expose the federal government and big tech to no end.
Didn't do that. They ran it through their general counsel, who, of course, was working on behalf of the FBI. But the core truth here doesn't change, which is the FBI is censoring the speech of Americans on behalf of the ruling political party. These are people with arrest powers and firearms. They can destroy your life. You just can't have that and maintain a representative democracy. The two are incompatible with each other. And I'm not sure why that's not really clear to everyone. You don't have to be a right-winger or a Trump supporter.
I know.
That should be obvious to Chuck Schumer and to Nancy Pelosi. Do you really want to live in a country where the FBI tampers with our elections? You can't live in that country. We can't have this.
And that's the I want to say $1 million, but we can't do $1 million because they'll blow $1 million in a day. We can't say $1 billion because they'll just lose $1 billion. I would say like $1 trillion, but I guess we could say $1 trillion. That's the $1 trillion question. How come none of them are, saying like, this is not good? The FBI should not be the strong arm for any political party. But they're not going to say that because the FBI, based on all the information that we're seeing, work directly for the Democrats. Joe Brandon, directly for them. And all of this time that FBI has been going after conservative Christians, they went after that guy that was he was a Christian, he was Catholic, and he was protesting against abortion. The FBI showed up to him. He didn't go and blow up anything, not like the way the left has blown up pro-life clinics. Did the FBI investigate those? No. They want to investigate this guy who's only wanted to save lives. They investigate him, but not the ones who's actually blowing up clinics. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. So I could talk about the free speech all night, and I've been saying this, and maybe this is part of the reason why they've been censoring me so much on Facebook and even YouTube, is that this is the year about to be the year 2023. And I've said this so many times that, we shouldn't even be having a conversation about who has free speech. Why are we even doing this? I guess we're no longer a civilized nation. and what's really interesting is that the left is constantly saying that the Republicans want to take us back. They want to take us back in time. They want to reverse this country. I mean, what are they doing by taking away our free speech? What a bunch of hypocrites. What a bunch of hypocrites. Talking about destruction of America, you still have the Democrats. Karine Jean-Pierre is going to sit there and I'm going to show you this one. Karine Jean-Pierre, I know, you can't stand her. Not many people can, because she blatantly lies and has no issues with it. Listen to this lie, where she says that Joe Brandon and Kamala Harris has been doing really good jobs. They've had so much success in our inflation, the fight that they have against inflation, lowering the cost of things, right? When's the last time you've been to the grocery store? Tell me, has everything been lowered for you? Is inflation still low now?
Let me just say the vice president has been a great partner of the president this past 2 years. The successes that they both have had in the clearly Biden-Harris administration on getting things done for the American people when it comes to the economy, when it comes to lowering costs, when it comes to fighting inflation. And that is something that we're going to.
Y'all heard that, right? Blatantly lying. Blatantly lying. The Bible says something about these people who are liars, right? Just blatantly lie. You know what it is? The truth is not in them. And according to the Bible, it says liars will not inherit the kingdom of God. She has no problem lying. She's a straight up liar. And she's comfortable doing it. I mean, just like Jen Psaki, you remember Jen Psaki? She was comfortable lying too. These people are they're very comfortable in their skin lying. And every day they go home, I wonder stuff like this. When they go home, does it even bother them at all? Just the blatant lies? It doesn't, because you can see it doesn't. Just like this dude here, Joffrey. Do y'all know who Anthony Weiner is? Do you know who Anthony Weiner is? Listen to what they say about Anthony Weiner, because apparently Anthony Weiner is looking like he's going to run for, I believe it says mayor in his hometown. Listen to what he says about Anthony Weiner.
I wanted to ask you a local issue first. Anthony Weiner is considering running for mayor of your hometown. What do you think?
Well, I certainly think that he would add some flavor to the race. Everyone is entitled to a second chance. I believe in that. I think we're a compassionate people. He should have an opportunity to present himself throughout the democratic process to the extent that he makes that determination to run.
So I can't even go into complete details what I think about Anthony Weiner. If I'm not mistaken, it's the same Anthony Weiner that was on the Hillary Clinton campaign, and or connected with the Hillary Clinton campaign. He had a laptop too, and he was sending pics. And the most interesting thing, though, about Joffrey's is that he said that everyone deserves a second chance, except for President Trump. He doesn't believe President Trump deserves a second chance. Not that, or any conservative Christian. He doesn't believe any of them deserve a second chance. This just proves my point that demons will protect demons. They don't have any issues with it. They don't have any issues with it. The demons will protect demons. All right. Maybe this is the reason why Facebook doesn't like it, because I get into this section now to where I talk about certain things that I can't talk about on Facebook. So for those of you that are not going to join me on over on Rumble, where you can see right there, you go to rumble.com/C/Will Johnson, or just go to Rumble and type in Will Johnson. It should take you there and you'll see me live. Or you can go to unitedamericafirst.com and click on Connect with Connect, and you can click on Rumble there. It'll take you directly to the page, however you want to do it. But for those of you that don't want to go, do not want to leave the other platforms that you're on, I understand. I get it. Some people just comfortable staying on Facebook. Rumble is free. Don't let them lie to you. Rumble is free for you. It's not free for me. It's free for you. I have to pay to be on Rumble to go live. Okay, but it's one of those things. I'm doing it because I can go over into Rumble and say certain things and, talk about certain topics that free speech should be covered right here, but it's not. So for everybody that's not going to come over, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for the blessings. Thank you so much for sharing the video. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. But for everyone that's about to join me over on Rumble, man, do I have something to share with you. And some of the stuff I'm pretty sure you've already been paying attention to it, but I want to share it with you again. And I got some other stuff that I want to share with you that I can't share on these other platforms. All right, so let me go and make sure that I have everything set. All right. I'm going to end it on these